Hello. So excited to have you and excited to kick off our testing season with you. We're really excited to share all the resources that we've gathered and just make sure to the best of our ability that you and your scholars are prepared for the upcoming testing season. So this session specifically is just going to be an overview. We're also going to address the CAASPP, which is the California Science Test, and pretty much everything that we cover. Just going to review all things testing at Compass. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So this is the Learning Coach Academy, preparing for testing. So this is just a slide we'll be sharing at the end of our presentation. And this slide actually shares all of the counselors and their links to making appointments with your counselor. So this is something fantastic to keep on hand. And I'm going to share it out in the chat box at the end of our presentation. Our agenda is going to go over acronyms so you understand what in the world we're talking about. We're going to talk about why testing is important from a bunch of different angles. Who takes the test, testing specifics, estimating your testing times, which I think you'll be happily pleased with how they've changed, how long the test will take, practice tests, and resources. So to begin with, if you hear a reference to the SBAC is actually nationwide. So SBAC is the test that your scholars take, but they take the California version of the SBAC, which is referred to as CAASPP. So the CAASPP spring testing window begins April 12th, and we're very excited to announce that testing is going to be remote, meaning that you now do not have to go somewhere to go test. You can be at home, and we'll be sharing out how to go about doing that. Each ST will be testing their own roster, and so it will simply be a matter of signing up under your ST schedule and signing up for a time to test, as well as making sure that you've got the appropriate browsers, etc., which will all be shared as we go through these test prep sessions. So your scholars take the English language test, which is ELA, the math test, and the CAASPP, which is the science test. They will not be taking the PFT, which is the physical fitness test. If your scholar could possibly be an English language learner, they will take the LPAC, which has a two-part, it has two parts to it, one being the initial, which is what identifies them as truly an English language learner, and then another one being the summative, which happens the second part of the year starting in February. Finally, we have the 3 times a school year benchmark testing. They're going on exactly right now, and that window ends at the end of this week. We have the iStation for elementary school, which is TK to 5th grade, and then we have Edgenuity, which is for middle and high school. So why is testing important? Testing is important because it gets your scholars ready for college and career. So if they go to college, they're going to need to be able to do those benchmark and normal tests. So it's part of getting them prepared and having to adapt to the tests that they're going to face when they go to college, go to a trade school, or any kind of career, really. Even food service, they have to pass tests in order to get their food handler's permit. So even if they worked at a fast food restaurant as a teenager, they have to pass some kind of a test in order to be able to do that. So the testing prepares them and acclimates them to that. For our school specifically, the state would like us to have a 95% participation rate for both the CAASPP and, if applicable, the LPAC. For course placement, our counselors and the teachers, the STs, use testing as one, not all, but one of the puzzle pieces to place your scholar appropriately in the courses that will serve them the best. And finally, Testing helps us provide a personal education for your scholar. So what's testing not used for? It's not used for moving to the next grade level. So that's not something they need to stress about. It is not used as a graduation requirement, and it is not used to give a grade, passing or failing your courses. So none of that applies, and none of that is something to stress over. So this is a handy dandy little chart that our testing coordinator created, and it includes who has to take what test. So as you can see, 3rd to 8th grade and 11th grade take the CAASPP. This year, 11th grade will not be taking the CAASPP. So this year, only 3rd to 8th grade will be taking the CAASPP. They have suspended that for high school. 5th, 8th, and 11th grade, and some 12th graders, if they didn't take it in 11th grade, will take this California science test. iStation is TK to 5th, Edgenuity is 6th to 12th, and LPAC, when applicable, is taken by all students from kindergarten to 12th grade. So again, just to revisit the testing window dates at our school specifically, testing will start April 12th and go to April 30th. Depending on what your specific ST offers will dictate when you'll be testing. So hopefully soon you'll be hearing from your ST about the schedule he or she is going to set up and what times and days will be available during that April time chunk that you can sign up for your scholar to test. And again, testing is remote and it's from home. The LPAC initial is also remote and from home, which is such a great thing. The LPAC summative will also be remote this year due to COVID, and it's from February 1st to May 31st. Finally, iStation and Edgenuity is always at home with the learning coach supervision, and it's ongoing. And again, it's 3 times a year, so it's going currently right now. And I apologize, there's construction going outside, so I thought they had stopped and they started up again. So estimated testing times, this gives you a good window. The CAS doesn't usually take that long. I would say most scholars take under an hour for the CAS test, but we ask that you allot 1 to 2 hours. Again, these are the estimated testing times, like maximum amount of time a test could take. They have shortened the CAS. So the computer adaptive portion of the CAS test is going to be about half of what you see listed here. The iStation test is estimated to take 25 to 30 minutes. The Edgenuity test is estimated to take about 45 minutes. And finally, the LPAC test initial is 60 to 90, with the summative being 90 to 120 minutes. And just so you know, the summative is supposed to be the summation of what's been learned. So when you hear that word summative, it's usually evaluating an end product. So a summative test at the end of the school year would be evaluating how much was learned over the course of that entire year. So we are going to share this entire presentation so you have these links, but something that we highly, highly recommend are the practice tests. And we're also going to be making those available over the course of these test preparation sessions. And these links will take you right to those practice tests. If you go to the one that says Starting Smarter, that is geared specifically to you parents to make it as easy as possible for you parents to log in, help your student log in, and give them practice that's very straightforward. If your student has a 504 or an IEP, you definitely want to be checking with your case manager or your SPED teacher early so that you can discuss your testing accommodations and make sure that all of the accessibility tools are made available to your scholar, as well as giving your scholar a chance to practice with those tools. I cannot stress enough how important practicing with those tools is to your scholar and to the comfort and lack of anxiety all of that stuff. Just practice and familiarity is so important. For online scholars, there's going to be in-class practice integrated into class times. For all scholars, there's going to be weekly resources shared out in your email from your supervising teachers so that you parents have control and you can practice with your scholars on your schedule. For all scholars and LCs, we're going to be holding these workshops, and those workshops will be Wednesdays from 3 to 3:30 typically. We will be available until 4. And we're hoping that you, your LCs, and the scholars will attend so you guys can get prepared together and you'll be able to discuss what we discuss after our sessions. Also, there will be teacher-led practice from your options ST as well. That will happen more towards the end of this window. This is a wonderful, again, you'll be shared all of this, but this is a wonderful resource for understanding the Smarter Balance summative assessments and the science test, as well as guides and fact sheets, and also pause rules, so you know how your scholar can go over or can take breaks and all of that. So these are just important things for you to know for your scholar when testing is happening, and you can mentally just be prepared and ask any questions if you need to. So I highly suggest you just click through these, look at the Starting Smarter website, look at the pause rules specifically so that if you have questions and you're wondering how that's going to work, you have a framework to ask those questions. This is another site for resources. So specifically, it will take you to a page that's all parent resources. One thing we'd ask you to note is the technology checker section, just to start getting in mind what you're going to need for technology to prepare your scholar to be ready for testing when you sign up. Also, the Starting Smarter, we've already talked about that, and then a direct link to practice and training tests. And then finally, we offer Typetastic. If you haven't taken advantage of Typetastic, it's a wonderful resource to help your scholar learn how to type and be familiar and comfortable with the keyboard. And all you need to do is request it through your ST. However, your ST is taking subscription requests, contact your ST and request that subscription. Finally, we have our attendance survey. And I am just going to put all of these links in the chat box right now. So if you would please just take a minute and I am going to stop sharing. I'm going to go ahead and put the link to the presentation in our chat box. So you can click on that live link and it'll take you directly to the presentation, so you can bookmark it and save it. And then at the end of the presentation is an attendance link attendance survey that I will put in the chat box as well. And if you would just take a minute to fill this out and let us know that you attended this recording, that would be fantastic. We hope that we are preparing you and taking away all the anxiety associated with testing. We hope you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week.